What's up, everybody? Good morning. It is Thursday morning, and this is Thursday Morning Live. Welcome to the show. Hey, if you have, if this is your first time here, I want to welcome you. I don't know who maybe told you about it, or maybe you're just seeing it on one of the platforms this morning, but I am certainly glad that you're here. If you have any questions along the way, use the comment or the chat. Throw us a question. Always like to know who you are and where you're from. So if you put your name and your location in the chat, that would be great. Thursday morning, we typically try to focus in on entrepreneurs and bringing, tips and techniques from entrepreneurs about how to build a business, not just their business, but any business. Because I know that the things that we talk about along the way are really things that we can all use in our daily life. So I hope that you are buckled up this morning. My guest is, I'm excited about my guest this morning. I'll get to that in a minute, though. Let me just ask you this, though. If you're here for the first time and you're on YouTube, smash the subscribe button. We love the followers, but we're always bringing you great content, especially around real estate investing, multifamily investing, helping you grow and scale your business. We're coming to the end of the year, and what are you doing to finish the year strong? Are you still in the game? We're coming. Next week's Thanksgiving, and we're in the holiday time. Have you gotten into the holiday slump, or are you going to finish this year strong? And how can we help you do that? If you are over on Facebook, join our community there, Market Multifamily Unplugged, where we are always letting you know about these live events coming up, new items, new topics and techniques to help you, again, grow your business. So let's get to my guest. My guest this morning is Jeff Ma. Jeff and I have been friends now for the last few years. I coached Jeff for a while in his real estate business, but today we're specifically going to talk about Jeff's Asian Bistro. That's the 9-9 Asian Bistro over on Cortlandt and Elston in Chicago. And I want to talk about this with Jeff this morning because, I've been in Chicago a long time, and finding good Asian food isn't always the easiest thing. So you're going to want to check this out when we're done this morning. Jeff, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Mike, how are you doing? Thank you for having me on your show. This is a great honor, and I really appreciate it. And yes, thank you. 9-9's Asian Bistro, aka Lon's Chicago. Been at that location for 2 years now, but the whole family's in the restaurant business.
Yeah, you guys been in the restaurant business a while, haven't you?
Oh yes, I grew up in the kitchen. I used to sleep behind the counter on the shelf when I was small enough, so they could squeeze me kind of right there on the shelf, take naps. There was no such thing as babysitters back in the days. There was a take your kid to work because otherwise you leave them at home unattended, they're just gonna make some trouble.
That's interesting because you grow up in the kitchen, and that's one of the things you do, but you do some real estate too. So, and we'll get to that in a minute. But it's funny how you hear these stories, right? Of parents starting businesses, bringing their kids to work, and not just on Father Sunday or Honor Your Daughter Day or any of those holidays, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
hey, you guys have had a couple of restaurants in Chicago over the years.
Oh yeah.
Where else have you had those restaurants? And your family actually has one of the oldest restaurants in the city.
Yeah, actually, just outside the city in the North Shore, we're in Winnetka. We're now the oldest restaurant in that town, where we've been there for 30 plus years now. And then, we've been a little bit all over the city. I remember growing up, dad taking me to this location and that location. So, some of the past ones growing up, there used to be one at 680 North Lakeshore Drive at the Playboy Building that was called Bistro Pacific. And then we had one at 100 East Walton, right at Walton and Michigan Avenue, that was called Dozo. Then we also used to be at Old Town, North and Sedgwick. That was just called Lon's Old Town. And now here we are over at Cortlandt and Elston. And it even goes further back than that. Before I was even around, we used to be on Orleans and Chicago over there. used to be Fullerton and Clark, so all over the city.
Yeah, you guys definitely have been around. Are those all yours and your dad's restaurants, or
Yeah,
other family members?
dad is a serial entrepreneur. He can't stop himself. He's in his 70s, and he's planning to open up another one in River North at Hubbard and State.
Yeah. So, you know, Jeff, I know you guys have some unique dishes there and some unique food there. Talk about your food a little bit.
Oh, a lot of our food, honestly, the recipes really come from mom. So, they grew up. Mom grew up in the kitchen, and she knew how to cook everything. And dad actually really learned from mom. But a lot of our dishes, we keep it fresh. Like, people don't realize the amount of work that goes into cooking Chinese food. Because we actually have to cut and dice all of our chicken to specific sizes. We don't get to slab a piece of chicken breast on the grill and just start cooking. There's a whole process to prepping and getting everything to bite-sized pieces.
Kind of
And
weird talking about food early in the
I know, early in the morning, right?
morning, though. You know, right?
And a lot of so funny thing about our dishes, when people ask, like, is it traditional Chinese? It's not. And to be completely honest, it comes from traditional roots, but it really is mostly Americanized. People don't realize most of the Chinese food you're eating here in the United States is Americanized. The egg roll is not 100% Chinese. It's actually a Chinese American invention. Same thing for the fortune cookie. Same thing for the almond cookie. Same thing for orange chicken. That is a Chinese American dish. And honestly, Chinese have roots here back in the 1800s. So it's very interesting, and it's really become its own type of cuisine. It's funny, sometimes we'll get visitors actually from China that want to try Chinese American food, because it's actually very different. It really is.
Well, that's interesting. I don't think I ever knew that. Well, let's talk about this. You know, we know you guys have great food there, and you know, I got hooked. You know, after the first time that I had a meal there. But let's talk about the entrepreneur part of the business. You know, what's it like to run a restaurant business, and you know, what types of things as an entrepreneur do you need to look out for or be ahead of?
Hmm. Great question. Thanks. Man, managing a restaurant business, I think one of the hardest thing is first thing is always your employees. Especially in the restaurant industry, you have high turnover, and it's really hard to build a loyal and trustworthy employee boss relationship, because it's very grueling in the restaurant business. There's um and that's number one. Definitely, you got to understand that your employees are the lifeline of your business. Next part is 100% the kitchen, the produce. You are dealing with perishable goods, and you have to know how to keep all your goods fresh. You have to keep them within health code guidelines, and making sure that you can produce a quality product, and making sure your product doesn't go bad, because you're spending hundreds and thousands of dollars on produce, and if you're not keeping an eye on it, it quickly goes bad, and that money's just gone and down the drain. And then next part I would probably say is customer service, 100%. And how are you engaging with your customers? How are you getting them to come back? A lot of people are probably used to a Chinese restaurant where they serve you, and then there's no small talk. It's kind of like, here, you eat it or leave. They don't care. And it comes from the culture, because you think about, in China there's almost 2 billion people, right? And it's almost, they don't necessarily have that time to sit there and chit chat. It's just this busy work. But it's very different when you can actually find a Chinese restaurants where they're more about service, and then it is about the food.
Yeah. So, you know, the food's one thing. I think when people come, they eat the food is good, the service is good, they come back, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think Chinese restaurants specifically or Chinese
So,
American restaurants specifically are a little bit of a dying breed, because a lot of those parents came to this country to build these restaurants, not out of passion, but out of necessity. It's like, what are we going to do? We came to this country,
Mm,
don't necessarily have a formal higher education, no degree, but we know how to cook, we know how to eat. So we open
yeah.
up Chinese restaurants. But the generation, my generation, the younger generation, a lot of them don't want to take on the restaurant business because it is such a tough business, such a tough
Yeah.
business. And at the same time, a lot of those parents actually never wanted their kids to get into the restaurant business. They're like, I'm doing this because it's a way to make money. And I want you to become a doctor, lawyer, right? An attorney, uh, someone that makes more money than being in the restaurant business, because that restaurant really becomes, sometimes that restaurant becomes more of a prison than it does a business. Do you own the business, or does the business actually own you? Because you are in there 24/7, 7 days a week. Even on the days that you are off and no one's at the restaurant, you are planning and getting things ready for the days ahead of you. And thing about the restaurant business, it's ad hoc. The day by day, something new that always pops up, something, always some problem, always some issue that pops up that needs to be taken care of. And if you're not organized and systematic, every day is a battle to try and figure out how to get through the day, let alone trying to get through the week or even plan for months or years ahead of you.
Yeah. So, on the front end, how do you get the new customer? What do you do as a restaurant owner, entrepreneur to go seek the new customer? Where do they come from? Is it that you can just open up a new restaurant in the middle of a block or next to the river and all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden people show up, or do you have to go get that customer?
Well, I think there's one simple way is people will start marketing, right? But I think for a lot of restaurants or restaurant owners, they're so busy with the day-to-day operations that they don't have the capacity to do full-on marketing, right? So then ideally, when you're first starting off, and how we build most of our restaurants, it is that first customer, that curious customer is like, hey, I've been curious to see what you guys have to offer. That person is your marketing, right? You want to serve them the best food, the best services you possibly can, so they go out and talk. We all know the best form of marketing is word of mouth, right? You
Mm,
can, right? I think on top of that, if you can be smart about social media, if you could be smart about specific ad placements, then you could really drive business. But in the very beginning, a lot of restaurant owners aren't familiar with marketing and sales. They are familiar of how to operate that kitchen, because the operating that kitchen is so much work in itself. And then you have front of house. And then you're trying to think marketing, sales, and a lot of restaurant owners just don't have that capacity. They're all thinking about, how do I just put out a quality product? If I put out a quality product with quality service, focus on that customer, get that customer, talk to them. Hey, come back next time. I'll take care of you. Hey, bring your friends along. Go tell everybody, tell your friends and family. But most restaurants in the very beginning, they will try to, they'll invite friends, family, they'll do a soft opening, right, to spread some word. But I think that is definitely a challenge of, how do you get that first customer in the door? A lot of times it's the customer that is walking by, curious, just trying to see, hey, what is this place? And that's why we had kind of had a name it Asian Bistro, so people can understand, oh yeah, it's Asian food. Because if you pick out some vicarious name, it's just like, oh, I don't know what it is. And nowadays
yeah.
it's hard for people to just try things. Everyone has to know, like, oh, we have to know where we're going ahead of time and what they have. And back in the day, it was just like, let's just find out. And I actually do kind of notice that I get older, and an older crowd that walks in, and they're like, we just wanted to try this place out. We have no clue if it's going to be good or bad, and little by little, our reviews are, we have great reviews online, and it just takes time. Just takes time.
Yeah. So we know that that's not your first love or first passion. That
Yes.
real estate is really kind of your other passion. What are you doing in the real estate space these days?
Oh, maybe too much in the real estate space, but I mainly wholesale real estate. I'm also learning with you and understanding multifamily syndication. and getting raising capital for large multifamily deals, and even coaching on real estate, because you can make money in the restaurant business, but then how are you going to build your wealth? And really, real estate is that pathway to creating wealth. Restaurant business, it's a lot of cash in and a lot of cash out. Rarely do you actually get to build upon it. So
Mm.
I think it's been quite a journey, and then combining the two as well.
Yeah, and I always tell people about real estate. I say, people talk a lot about how do you get paid, when do you get paid. I say you got to eat what you kill, you know.
Oh,
So you have to stay in the business, right? You have to stay in the game, whether you're wholesaling or whether you're selling retail or
mhm.
whether you're in the apartment business. And that's the thing about the apartment or about the real estate space is there's so many places you could spend your time.
Mhm.
What are you seeing with the market these days as far as how's that affecting your business, helping your business?
Um, I think a lot of people are worried about, if the market's going to crash, if interest rates are going to keep going up, inventory. But in reality, there is always someone looking to buy, and there's always someone looking to sell. And if you're able to identify that opportunity and adapt yourself to the market shifts, right? You don't pay attention necessarily to if it's going up or going down. You're paying attention to how do I adjust and then continue moving forward. And I think that's super important, especially with a lot of realtors dropping out of the business, a lot of people kind of scared. But I think the people that have been in the business and are very smart, they understand that there's going to be a market shift and a lot of opportunities to really take advantage of the years ahead. And so, if how is it affecting my business? Honestly, I have more leads than I can handle right now, and I'm a little bit overwhelmed because all those leads are potential gold nuggets in this business. And I think of real estate as kind of, if you ever seen the reality TV show Gold Rush, where they're moving mountains and mountains of dirt just to find little tiny specks of dust. That's like real estate. You
That's
are
reality. That's reality.
definitely, you are sifting through so much stuff in order to find those little specks of gold. But you stay diligent at it, you get efficient at it, you get better at it. Sooner or later, you're going to have a mountain of gold rather than just little specks of dust.
Do you ever remember the story from years ago, Acres of Diamonds?
Acres of diamonds. I'm not familiar, actually.
So, Nightingale, Earl Nightingale used to tell this story about Acres of Diamonds, where the guy owned a farm and he
Mm-hmm.
was digging and digging and digging and looking for diamonds and couldn't find diamonds, right? And
Mm-hmm.
finally sold the farm. And when he sold the farm, the new person who came and took the farm over, all of a sudden, a couple of weeks into working this land,
Mm-hmm.
finds these acres of diamonds and becomes very wealthy. And the other guy was just so close. And
Just so.
that's kind of how I look at real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Is people get tired, they wear out, they burn out, they get out, and they miss it just when they're on the cusp.
Definitely. I think I definitely could definitely resonate with that too, because I used to be a retail realtor, and I still do listings, I still do buyer appointments. But when I shifted towards wholesaling, it took me 6 months to get my first deal, and a lot of people would give up after 90 days. And I was a realtor thinking like, oh, I'm going to crush it. No problem. I know how to comp properties. I know how to talk to buyers, sellers, know how to talk to agents. And I just didn't quite understand what I really needed to do to be successful in the business. And one thing that's kind of always stuck with me, and I remember someone saying like, the goal is obviously to make money. The goal is obviously to
Right.
get these deals, but a lot of times we get frustrated when we're not meeting that goal. And when we get frustrated, we're creating negative energy in our life where we don't actually want to keep moving forward, and that's when a lot of people just drop out. So instead of focusing on the prize, focus on the plan, right? Focus on your day-to-day actions, right? Your goal is obviously to get a deal, but your goal should be 5 offers a day. Your goal should be 10 conversations a day, right? That's your goal, hitting those habits, because your habits is what create who you are. And then little bit over time, that's what's actually going to create the success that you need in life.
I agree 100%. I think yeah, it was well spoken. It's like any business,
Hmm.
just, real estate, you're commission based where you're not really getting a salary in most cases. So,
Hmm.
you got to hang in there a little bit longer.
Oh yeah, you got
And you
it.
got to do the work. You got to put the work in. Hey, what do you think? And we've had a couple of these conversations. It's a little controversial, but we like controversy.
Yeah.
Um, what what do you think about this commission thing and these lawsuits against buyers' commissions? You have
Mm.
any opinion on that?
Um, I think, however it goes, is, again, you just got to pivot and adapt. Whether it's actually going to land or not, from my understanding, they're going to appeal it, and the um, the case was brought upon you know a, a as what does they call it, a jury of your peers, but none of those individuals understand the mechanics of what a realtor really has to do in order to obtain these commissions. And at the same time, if the listing agent isn't able to compensate the other agent that's bringing in a buyer, how is that why would that other agent do any work?
Right,
And if the buyers have to bring additional funds to pay a broker to find them a property, how are those funds going to be paid? A lot of buyers are saving up just enough money for the down payment. They're not thinking about down payment and paying the other broker. So where are those funds going to come from, right? Are mortgage companies, are lenders going to allow for, some kind of credit back to pay for the buyer's broker to help them? Or is it something that buyers also have to bring out of pocket to the table? So either way, it's all going to come down to numbers, because the listing agent is there to get the seller the most amount of money for they as much as they can. But if no one in between is there to be compensated, who's going to really do all the work?
right,
Hmm.
right. Yeah, it becomes a tough spot, right?
Becomes a tough spot.
So,
I
well,
think.
here's what I see though. I see a disruption in the marketplace.
Mhm.
And as an entrepreneur, and you and I are both entrepreneurs, whenever there's a disruption in the marketplace,
Mhm.
there's some type of innovation that takes place or can happen.
Mhm.
And I think that from a standpoint of a business owner, as in the real estate business, what is gonna be the next play in that space?
Mm. Interesting. Yeah. Like what is going to happen, right? I think it might force brokers to be a little bit more. Um, they're going to have to learn a little bit more about negotiations in order to be able to fight for a number.
Yeah,
And but in the very beginning, everyone, I don't know any broker that just started off listing properties right away. Most brokers start off as a buyer's broker, right? They find someone that can buy, because there's such a huge learning process and it's such a huge curve to really become a successful real estate broker. Um, but no, it's interesting to see what's going to happen. But if change happens, all it is about adapting and adjusting your path and finding ways to create value, to be of service, and it's just what it is.
right.
Com- Complaining about it does nothing. It just robs you
That's
of
right.
of your time of doing something productive.
That's an energy suck. That's for sure.
Yes.
Hey, listen, thanks for being here this morning. I know that you got to get on the road here. You're already sitting in the car, ready to go to
Yeah.
your appointment.
I got a walk through right now, potential wholesale deals. So got to keep the wheels moving.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you this.
Mhm.
How do people get a hold of you if they want to talk to you about real estate,
Mhm.
or tell them how to come out to the restaurant and when the best time is to come out and
Ooh.
have something to eat?
Contact me on my phone, 847-414-0758. If not, you can hit me up on all my social medias, Jeff Ma Real Estate. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Message me there as well. You want to make a reservation at the restaurant, you can hit me up there as well. I am pretty available. So, best way to hit me up is to actually start contacting me. And I respond pretty quick.
It's always a pleasure to
Mhm.
talk with you, and you and I do a lot together and shoot some video and go to events and have a good time. It's always a pleasure.
Thank
I
you.
hope
Always
you
a
have a
pleasure
great
as
day.
well.
Yeah, I hope you have a great day, and certainly look forward to catching